Welcome back to another edition of Jurassic June on the Ace2Face podcast here on Face the Ace. Today, we are covering Jurassic Park 3. We are finishing off the original trilogy, and I couldn't think of a better person, the man who likes original trilogies a lot in most franchises. We're not in a wrestling booth. You finally made it on Face the Ace. The owner of Shockwave Sports, the owner of Shockwave Studios, the owner of the Scary Box, the Shockwave Empire is his, Mr. Johnny Vaughn Hollywood, the John Hammond of Shockwave.
Settle down. I'm so excited to be here. When you threw me the third movie, I went, really? So, but you'd always had a point. You kept saying it's the shortest one, so you're gonna love that you're doing the shortest one.
You love your hour and a half movies.
Look, it's a perfect runtime, guys. We don't need 2.5 hour long movies. I don't know. They're fine, but we don't need them.
So, what I usually start with is, we've talked about Jurassic Park plenty. I know you have memories with that movie, but what's kind of your backstory with this one? Do you have any attachments with Jurassic Park 3?
Well, when I was younger, my father DVR'd both Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. I had seen Jurassic Park multiple times. I think we even had it on VHS. But like those two movies were, I think, really what might have started my love of prop making, because Stan Winston Studios did all the real life dinosaurs, the live action props. And the third movie, once again, it was kind of quick and easy. I thought it was forgettable, but I didn't realize, of course, being a part of like the meme culture, how many memes were from the third movie specifically.
Yes.
And how much relevant moments were in that one.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I have like a two-sided relationship with this movie where I do have memories of watching this as a kid very vividly, like the first Jurassic Park. You know, I mentioned that the second Jurassic Park movie, Lost World, kind of felt lost to me, no pun intended. But this Jurassic Park 3, I always thought was the better sequel, at least in my Gen Z brain. And a lot of people, it kind of goes either way. There's a lot of people who love this movie, and there's a lot of people who hate this movie, and thought Jurassic Park went into a really, dumb, over-the-top, type of thing, and that's why a lot of people I feel like the people who hate Jurassic Park 3 love Jurassic World, because it truly was back to formula, as Green Goblin would say. And
well, you also said to Nate on the last episode, you both talked about that, where some people say that Jurassic Park 3 was almost trying to go back to formula, which I saw it. When we watched the movie, I saw what you guys were saying, and it was a lot more mellowed out than Lost World.
The original idea for this, so they always wanted Alan Grant to come back, and Sam Neill does reprise his role, but instead of trying to convince him to come to the island, the original idea was that he lived on the island, and he was studying the dinosaurs, and he was almost like a hermit, kind of like, Yoda or Luke Skywalker type, and he was going to be that sort of character.
Han Solo on Kashyyyk in Revenge of the Sith.
I thought that would have been a wild thing. It might be a more interesting plot per se, but I don't think the Sam Neill, Alan Grant character would have done that, but it's an interesting thought. It really is.
Yeah.
The movie, directed by Joe Johnston, which we would know as director of Captain America, the First Avenger, also director of The Rocketeer, and that's what that and Jumanji, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, he was starting to get a big name in Hollywood. He asked Steven Spielberg if he could direct the second one, Lost World, and Spielberg said, no, you could do the third one if we do it. So even then, Spielberg was kind of a little weary on the Jurassic franchise, but Johnson got to do it, and he said he hated it. He almost quit the movie multiple times and had just a bad experience, he said. The author of the Jurassic Park books was originally part of the writing team, but left when he felt there was just no creative idea here, which I found interesting. I think it's always cool when the author could be a part of the, creative team, but man, we're only 3 movies in, and he was that not confident in the third one already.
The plot we got wasn't bad.
And the original plot was apparently
not
too
that bad.
was apparently too complicated. So, and I'm like, wow, so they really dubbed this down, because this movie they strip away. I saw in a video in my research, I think Mr. Sunday Movies video said this, where it's a lean and eating meat type of movie. Like, it just goes in there. Like, no fat in this movie at all.
It might be too early, but we keep calling it I just kept saying, this is a TV movie.
Yeah.
It's a made-for-TV movie.
It doesn't have that, even watching Lost World, I mentioned this, where you feel that theatrical experience even watching it at home. Like, something is different there. But I really don't think I would get that with Jurassic Park 3, because I was only 3-4 years old when this movie came out. I did not see it in theaters. I probably saw it a couple years later. I don't think, though, if I was like this age in 2001, I don't think I'd feel like I'd miss anything. This movie to me would be like watching, the Adam Driver dinosaur movie. This is better than that, but it's that same vibe where it's like, do I really need the theatrical experience of that? That movie's getting a bad rap on this podcast, and now I feel like I need to make a video on it.
I haven't even seen it, but
that might be a good watch.
I only know it from us talking about it.
But Laura Dern does return to the franchise, but this is no doubt the Alan Grant movie. The film, like Lost World, will take place at Site B after two people go missing on the island, as we see in the beginning of the movie, with a really funny, what did they call it? I've never done that before, where you're flying up in the air with the boat you're strapped to.
Paragliding.
So the driver of the boat that they're paragliding gets eaten by raptors, probably because of how, fast and clean it was, the way it went. And they went off, their way. And luckily they were on the parachute. It's a guy and a kid. We don't know the connections yet. I'm even more confused when we learn the connections.
Oh my god, jeez.
And so two people go missing. Alan Grant is tricked by one of the missing person's parents to come to the island and help them find him. Most notably, William H. Macy joins the cast, who you may know from Fargo, the TV show Shameless, and my personal favorite, Wild Hogs.
Oh, hell yeah. Wild Hogs shout
Classic.
out live here on the Face the Ace channel.
That would be a great future one. Yeah, so Laura Dern is back in this movie as Ellie, but this is the Sam Neill movie. And I feel like this franchise tried so hard to make this guy Indiana Jones, especially in this movie.
We got the hat.
Which
bit. We will probably bring
times.
up multiple times.
Yeah.
That was wild. And then the whole Laura Dern thing, when she first appears, it's kind of like, it almost feels like, well, all right. Actually, why don't you explain the fake out first before I explain that you think that's it of her from the whole movie?
So I knew it was coming because, of course, it was a big meme when it happened. But yeah, the first shot, you see Alan Grant playing with dinosaur toys with a child you would presume was his son. And you see Laura Dern in the background. It's like, oh, this is what happened after Jurassic Park 3. The events of Jurassic Park 1 is funny because they never specify if they're even dating in the first one.
Yeah.
We have no idea. And but by the end of it, you see Alan Grant with the kids on his shoulders. Him and Ellie look at each other. You think that's a hint that they want to pursue a serious relationship, like movies 101. But a maid or somebody comes out, maybe not a maid, sorry, but comes out and says, oh, you got a call from your husband. And it's like, oh, that's what it is. And they have a pet parrot, which has deeper meaning than we think. I'll get to that later.
Oh, I have them written down too.
But what did you think about? Did you want more Ellie in this movie?
Well, like I said, it kind of felt like a send-off of her character. Almost like a different franchise trilogy that I love, Pirates of the Caribbean. They were saying goodbye to Elizabeth and Will, that their story was over. Well, what the hell else is Elizabeth going to do on the island with Henry? Like, I guess they're just there, That's kind of what it felt like. But that's why you don't expect her in, and she basically isn't, but that's why you don't expect her in the rest of the movie. I also like that Alan was just kind of hanging out, having a good... There's no context, so we see two people fly away on a paraglider, and then we see Dr. Alan Grant hanging out with Ellie's kids.
Which way better main character than throwing in Ian Malcolm. Like, Alan Grant, that character was meant to be written as the guy you're supposed to follow as the audience. Ian Malcolm was never that. Like we brought up with Pirates of the Caribbean. You need that Will Turner. You just can't have a Jack Sparrow be the main lead. It's too messy, and the character has to deviate from so much because it has to be morally good for everything now.
The other thing that kind of is confusing is it is setting up, it's not foreshadowing, but setting up Laura Dern in the movie is setting up for the end.
Yes.
In which she doesn't even appear on the beach, which I know people kind of have a problem with.
Laura Dern was definitely on set for half a day. Like, all her scenes are in that house.
All her scenes in that house. One day shoot.
Like, good for her.
It was in a different place in California.
Good for her. She got the paycheck, but man, I feel like the first Jurassic Park, when I think of Laura Dern, you think of that performance. The casual audience thinks of that. Like, film bros will think of her David Lynch work and stuff like that, but you go up to a person and you show them a picture of Laura Dern, what movie was she in? They'll be like, oh, the Jurassic Park, the dinosaur movie. Yeah. So it's weird that
now I think Star Wars, but
and that's true. Admiral Holdo, shout out. But yeah, she just got this back seat, and I don't know if Laura Dern wanted no part of it, or if that's just not what they wanted to focus on. It just felt weird to me. And I said this in the podcast before, the Lost World script feels like it was supposed to be Sam Neill rescuing Ellie on the island. Like, yeah. And then for some reason they wanted Ian Malcolm, probably just because of how popular that character ended up being. It's very weird. But this movie's at a fast pace. So we see him, he has a seminar, he's talking about raptors. I like the dialogue in this, and they don't really talk about this ever again in the franchise, where he doesn't see John Hammond's dinosaurs as dinosaurs. He thinks they're freak clones, they're anti-science, and
they're monsters.
Yeah, the real dinosaurs are still in the fossils. And I think that's a really cool plot point that we don't really get to revisit ever. John Hammond is not in this movie. It would have been cool if him and Hammond had, some dialogue there, but once again, we just don't have time for that in this movie. It is such a grounded movie from the rest of these movies, to be honest, because everything else is much more grand, and you go into the behind the scenes of what InGen does and everything, but this one you don't. It is a straight up rescue mission, and that's it. There's really no huge themes. That one scene where he's talking about the cloning is all we get. If any kind of relevance to the first movie's great theming that I praise every episode. And so this couple, William H. Macy and you have what we thought at the time was his married wife. They pretend to be rich to convince Sam with money to go to the island, where Sam is told they will just do a flyover. Sam would learn that the couple is looking for their son and the mother's friend. But that's where we're literally at the island already. So that's where things go awry. But we are introduced to a team of people that the parents hired to find them, and they all have weapons. And famously, one of them, that's Cooper. To explain, and let me just go on the Cooper.
Ridiculous.
Let me go on the Cooper tangent now. Then we finally see a dinosaur.
Then we'll talk about the movie.
Then we'll talk about dinosaurs. That's Cooper. Revenge of the Sith levels of cinematic brilliance. For those of you who do not know, the Cooper memes were everywhere at one point in the late 2010s, around the time Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was coming out. Shout out to Ben the Guard, a good friend, a good memer, who put in the work back then and made sure Cooper memes were being made. It's a reminder that sometimes the internet could come together for something so ridiculous, like something from a 2000s movie. And Cooper is just part of the team. He's part of he knocks out Sam Neill, and when they land the plane, unfortunately Cooper meets his demise, and we get the famous Sam Neill line, "That's Cooper." But it is time for the Scary Box Conspiracy podcast version of this. I have so much information, and you will be convinced that there is a connection to Jurassic 3's Cooper and the legend of DB Cooper.
The name, it's right there. The pictures. There's
more than meets the eye. I have to go to my other document. There's a lot of information here. Nikki Fox, Poplu, if you're watching, this is how you do a fucking conspiracy pod.
You had to write multiple pages on a different Google Doc.
Have you ever wondered why a mercenary in Jurassic Park 3... to a quick editor's note, make it very, conspiracy, true crime in this part. Thank you. Let me do it again. Have you ever wondered why a mercenary from Jurassic Park 3 shares a name with the infamous skyjacker D.B. Cooper? Believe it or not, the evidence suggests this is no coincidence. In Jurassic Park 3, a mercenary named Cooper helps Paul and Amanda Kirby search in Isla Sorna. In 1971, an unidentified man hijacked a Boeing 727, Flight 305, demanded ransom, and parachuted, and then vanished. The world knows him as D.B. Cooper. Suspiciously, both Coopers involve secret flights, missing individuals, and shadowy agencies. Here's the deal. The Jurassic Park Wiki explicitly notes Cooper was a mercenary dispatched on the island Sorna, and D.B. Cooper hijacked Flight 305 in November 1971. In other words, two Coopers are linked by flight and mystery. That can't be a coincidence. There are, where D.B. Cooper fell, I don't know coordinates well. There are multiple InGen facilities where D.B. Cooper landed. In Jurassic Park 3, Dr. Grant famously shouts, "That's Cooper," when he sees Mercenary's body. Well, when he's on the runway.
Yes.
Conspiracy buffs claim Alan was not naming the mercenary, but alerting us to the legendary skyjacker, as he recognized the name from classified briefings. And the scene and this movie takes place in 2001, exactly 30 years after the Cooper hijack. Coincidence? I think not. InGen has always had mysterious projects. Its nemesis, Biosyn, engages in genetic bioengineering while secretly using espionage and illegal practices. Maybe Cooper was a Biosyn spine turned InGen test subject, and both companies would gladly erase that history.
Test subject? What?
This goes in later when we bring up Jurassic Park 4, the never made one.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Believe it or not, the characters get drawn into this. Amanda Kirby tricked Alan Grant into going to the island to find her son.
Yeah.
Now, she tricked him to go on this plane, much like how D.B. Cooper, convinced all the stewardess and everything. But conspiracies love to claim he was identifying the real Cooper when he was signaling. We all know what Alan Grant actually meant. The evidence does not add up by accident. Two Coopers, a missing plane, FBI memos, shady genetics, firms, and an anonymous "That's Cooper." It's like a puzzle begging to be solved. As FBI notes suggest, hundreds of subjects were interviewed in the wake of the hijacking. But what if the perfect suspect was hiding in plain sight on Isla Sorna? At this point, not even a dino stampede can derail this theory.
What gets the blood on the plane, then? What? And I feel like we skipped a lot of context leading up to the "That's Cooper" moment. Grant, at that point, had hallucinated a dinosaur saying,
yes.
Alan.
But yeah,
had also been knocked out, and now they're landed on the island where he's having a PTSD traumatic attack, and then he says "That's Cooper," thinking it's DB Cooper.
Yeah, what if his knockout actually woke him up and he realized that that's DB Cooper?
And that was it. And he doesn't think about DB Cooper for the rest of the movie. We got some jackass stealing eggs thinking he's gonna be a billionaire, and Grant's over here like, I found who D.B. Cooper was in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, to tie this meme section with a bow, did get knocked out by Cooper, and
yes,
we see literally the first dinosaur on screen is saying Alan. And there is a thematic connection here, because going back to the Laura Dern scene, he's talking to the parrot saying, say Alan. So in his dream, the animal, but it's a raptor, finally said Alan.
Of course, dinosaurs, birds, their connectivity is widely known, but it's interesting that Alan hallucinates a raptor that he's never seen before, because that's one of the male raptors that was made for the movie. So he just hallucinated a brand new... They had the old ones. They have the other velociraptors in this movie too. I'll complain later.
It was at a weird time for dinosaurs, because in the 90s, people were starting to, learn and accept that, a lot of dinosaurs probably didn't look like that classic look and had feathers and more looked like chickens. And now we have the running joke that dinosaurs, turned into turkeys and chickens. But Jurassic Park, when that movie was released, kind of, it ended all that. No one cared, and they wanted dinosaurs to look like Jurassic Park, at least from a marketability standpoint. And then we would see in like dinosaur documentaries for years to come. Disney's dinosaurs, there's actually a little on that, actually.
Land Before Time.
Land Before Time, yes. Yes, so they land, we get the Alan thing, and we see the Spinosaurus for the first time, made with a blend of both CGI and some very well done practical effects. There'd be versions of the poster in the marketing that would replace the T-Rex and the iconic Jurassic Park logo with the Spinosaurus. This dinosaur was built like Brock Lesnar in 2003. He was the next big thing. There was concept art of a deleted scene for Fallen Kingdom that would have had the Spinosaurus fight with another dinosaur during the volcano eruption, but that never happened. Because that scene never happened, the status of the Spinosaurus whereabouts is unknown in the Jurassic Park lore right now. But I think this is a good time to go into the...
still be alive?
Yes.
I see.
We'll have more on the... I'm sure we both did some research on Site A and Site B. But now that we've introduced the Spinosaurus, I think this is a good time to go into the behind the scenes of the, making of some of this practical effects.
So they kind of set up this whole thing by teasing it in the posters and everything, by having it. It kind of feels like you're going to have the main event match between, the Spinosaur and whatever. But it's more or less that the Spinosaur's just kind of in this one. Like, he's the main villain dinosaur.
Yeah.
I'm such a huge fan of Stan Winston Studios, now called Legacy Effects. I get it, but still. The CGI in this movie, compared to even the last movie, they were definitely getting a lot more confident in 2001. There's a lot of daylight CGI scenes.
Lost World was not ready for daylight.
Every time they do a close-up shot, actually, this is the first time in the animatronics that they had the dinosaurs' animatronics be able to blink. So that's why the dinosaurs blinking is an actual animatronic blink, not just like a CG
like
overblink.
A CGI, yeah.
And I think, one, that helps.
Yeah.
Support your CGI artists. And then, but the Spinosaur, they made a giant Spinosaur. They also made... Fudge. Hold on. I gotta pull up the right name, because they're not pterodactyls in this movie. They're pteranodons.
They do look meaner than a pterodactyl.
So they're bigger and they have no teeth. So the ones for this movie are like a fictionalized version, because pterodactyls are actually tinier and do have teeth.
And that could go into, the Jurassic World lore, where they started experimenting and putting different DNA and stuff. And,
mixing DNA.
Yeah, that could be kind of the preview of what we would see in future, both movies and lore, because a lot of this was dived into the video games, the books, etc.
Yeah, so for this movie, they had, of course, multiple puppeteers, but they would operate each parts of the dinosaur. Where is the freaking... Oh my god, ILM designed some dinosaurs entirely through CGI. The Ankylosaurus, the Brachiosaurus. Where is the goddamn bird? Oh, there it is. Pteranodons. Pteranodons. But they're a little bit different, so they're a fictionalized version in this movie, I believe, because they're supposed to be herbivores. But they made them more like pterodactyls.
I did some research on I know this guy doesn't show up until the end of the movie, but he's only in it for one scene, or she, excuse me. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. Ceratosaurus?
The red one,
Yes.
right? Yes. It kind of looks like a T-Rex, but he has the little horn.
We see it for one scene, and I had this Mandela effect, I think.
Yeah.
I thought that dinosaur did something more. I actually thought that dinosaur was the one that was on fire, that gets on fire at the end. I thought they chase him. And I think that because I think I was combining Disney's dinosaurs with this movie, because the Ceratosaurus there's two of them in Disney's Dinosaur, and they're the main antagonists the whole time. When I think of that dinosaur, I think of the Disney version and not this, of course. But because they look so alike, they both do that red type look.
Yeah.
I think I was just kind of just combining them in my brain.
They really went all out in this movie with the designs of the dinosaurs. Instead of having them be mostly flat and gray, like most of the herbivores that we see throughout the franchise, are just these kind of flat gray CGI things. Whereas they really started putting a lot of effort into these very colorful designs, and modern iterations like in Jurassic World sometimes laid off of that. But something you see here in this movie is those velociraptors, they all have their blue, like the blue lines and stuff. That started in this movie, and I like that, of course, it went to Jurassic World.
I was about to say, it would become kind of the look of the Raptors moving forward after this. But yeah, the Spinosaurus, cool as hell. I did some half-ass internet research about the T-Rex situation. So, confirmed by some Jurassic World marketing in 2015, there was one T-Rex in Site A, and then there were 6 T-Rexes at Site B. The plan was to only have 1 to 2 T-Rexes in the park because their species see each other as threats, and they would just try to kill each other. A lot of the dinos from Site B, though, were moved to Site A for Jurassic World's opening in 2015. It is hinted there were still some dinosaurs on Site B, though. Site B was also said, though, to be affected by the volcanic eruption of Site A during the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So a lot of those dinosaurs are said to be extinct now. But, at least according to the Jurassic Park wiki, some dinosaurs may still be at Site B. So Jurassic Park 3 might be the last time we ever see any Site B action, leaving a crazy legacy to this, OG sequel island. But we're also not sure what island this new team in Jurassic World Rebirth is going to. I'll try my best to pay attention to that when I see it.
There you go. We're just hopping back.
We're just going back and forth. The whole introduction to Site B set this movie into a weird motion, and it kind of made everything confusing. The characters in this movie are confused. They're like, Alan, you've been on this island. You wrote that book. And he's like, that was Site A.
Yeah. It was the other island. It was Nublar. This is Sorna. And Billy, his little Robin in this freaking movie, is standing there like, he's the one who actually responds, because Grant's like, no, I wasn't. And then Billy's like, that was Nublar.
Yeah.
I read his book.
What do you think of Billy in this movie? We've compared him to Shia LaBeouf in Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it just goes straight back to, it kind of feels like they were trying to make an Indiana Jones character out of Alan Grant, but this was like his apprentice. It's weird because I don't know who that guy is. Like, I said that could have kind of been, I don't want to say it was miscasted. I think he played the part well, but
the lack of big actors in this is kind of weird, and
it's a TV movie.
It does feel like that, because after this, the rest of the movies have Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard. This new one has Scarlett Johansson. Like, A-list celebrities are now starring in these movies for the rest of the franchise. This one just feels so different than any other one, because even in Lost World, Jeff Goldblum is a mainstream star by the time he does the sequel. So you have the first Jurassic Park, which I praise because it didn't dwell on A-list celebrities. You went there for the spectacle. But by the time we do get to 3, that's not how you could sell it. I think an A-list celebrity in here would have sold it, and we'll get into our Jurassic 4 stuff, the movie that was never made. They were definitely thinking about that for number 4. Well, when I was doing some half-ass research. But yeah, we're introduced to the Spinosaurus, and Alan Grant finds the son, who is like Rambo on this island. He is like, taking names, kicking butt out there. This kid's actually awesome.
On the last episode, you guys were talking about the kid actors, and of course, it's prominent throughout the whole Jurassic franchise that there are kids in each of the movies, and this kid was cool.
Yeah.
Like, he shows up saving Alan Grant's ass like Tarzan or whatever. I was raised by these dinosaurs. Like, I don't know. But he's not annoying at all, unlike his mother.
Oh, very similar to Temple of Doom with Steven Spielberg's wife.
Oh my God, you're right.
I was getting flashbacks to that. It's the constant screaming.
Indy!
She had the Karen haircut before the haircut became the Karen haircut.
Which, yep, that was wild. Yeah, so in this era, since 2001, so it's just the Lady Di cut. It's the Diana cut that everybody wanted at the time. It makes you look 20 years older.
What do you mean, the Linda McMahon cut?
Oh, the Linda McMahon! You're right.
But yeah, the parents did not work for me at all in this movie. I love William H. Macy. Didn't work for me.
I didn't think he was that bad.
I like that they were slowly getting back together. Like, that's... I like that he had a plot point that he lost 20 pounds from swimming. That's cool. I'm glad that guy got his life together.
Which I guess sets up how he's able to survive.
Yeah, he's very athletic. That's true.
Multiple things.
And didn't he jumped in the water in the climax with the fire and he survived. If it wasn't for all that swimming, I don't think he's making it out of it.
And she was screaming, "You jerk! You never should have left me!" And he's like, "I'm right here." Which, they're looking in one direction, and then he's behind them. And I don't know how that happened.
This is all the mother's fault. She let her kid go hang out with her friend to go to a dinosaur island. The mother is at fault here. Also, technically, because of everything the parents did in this movie, government would probably arrest them. They're on government property. They lied to a paleontologist to get there. A government-protected paleontologist because of the events of Jurassic Park 1. Like, this is some serious shit.
I wrote down, the bad people all live.
Yeah. And I mean, all the people in this movie. Well, these parents... I was thinking about this. People died so they could get their son from this island. Laura Dern's character, Ellie, one phone call and the Army and Navy were there. So Alan's an idiot because I get that he didn't know, but if the parents were just honest with him in the beginning, one phone call, the military would have been there to rescue the kid. No one
If we're going to complain about the plotting, it's kind of wild that... Did you not put out, like, a missing person? It's called The Incident! It's called the Jurassic Park incident, and then a dinosaur showed up in California. You don't think saying 3 people are missing on an island? Nobody had to say they were paragliding or parasailing or whatever.
And I'm assuming her friend is very rich. Like, you would think a guy like that going missing would be a big deal.
It was a pretty cheap boat.
That's true. Maybe I'm thinking of just modern inflation. When nobody could go on those trips anymore.
Yeah, he was just... it was probably an illegal trip because you definitely can't be sailing around the dinosaur island.
He did say to the guy in the beginning of the movie, get me close to the island as possible, I'll pay you money. It was definitely like an illegal boat ride.
Yeah.
But we find the kid, Alan does it, and then we get to the famous pterodactyl scene. Not a pterodactyl, though, but everybody calls it the pterodactyl scene. The scene that scarred our good friend Nick Alexander.
I love the bird cage.
The reveal when he looks and sees as a cage. I love that. That was such a good reveal.
Didn't it look bad? I don't know if that was CGI or partially built, but like
the fog helps.
Yeah,
it really does.
Darkness and fog.
Yeah,
because as it does that pull out,
And it was also revealed during this that Billy kept raptor eggs, another insane move by a character in this movie.
Just to make a quick buck. He was like, I could sell them for millions of dollars. And it's like, I guess.
Some half-ass internet research, because I made a joke that he'd go to Pawn Stars. Somebody did try selling a dinosaur egg at the pawn shop. And
I thought I remembered.
Wasn't that much money.
Well, so the other... Hold on. Ace. Billy had living dinosaur eggs.
Can a pawn shop even legally buy that?
Could he convince them? I mean, the incidents just happened 3 years ago, so it's kind of like they're just chilling.
Rick's like, I'll give you $3,000 for it.
Let me get my expert.
Let me get my dinosaur. It's Alan Grant. Or it's Ian Malcolm. That's how it all ties back. And he's like, oh, Rick, my good friend.
We gotta talk about why. So he didn't necessarily have evil means, which is an overlying theme of the whole franchise.
And Alan crashed out and said, you're just as bad as John Hammond.
You're just as bad as them. Which what he wanted to sell the eggs for was to fund research sites of the bones. Which, if he believes what Alan was saying, that Hammond's creations are monsters, the real dinosaurs are still the fossils, okay. But then you're putting real dinosaurs in the world.
This is a big retcon, actually, because John Hammond promises Alan and Ellie that he would fund their expeditions for years to come.
Yep.
And you're telling me less than a decade later, they're already out of money? After the incidents of Jurassic Park where they had to sign an NDA, John wouldn't even fund that for the rest of his life? Like, sorry for almost killing you. I'll fund everything you do. Like, you would think that'd be part of the agreement.
Isn't something about that explained in Jurassic World? With what happened with the Hammond funding? I mean...
because Hammond's InGen, I believe that's the name of the company, got sold to, when we see in Jurassic World. So maybe that was already happening. Maybe he went bankrupt. I don't know. They don't really, movie is
the government came after him.
Yeah. And he does that, he does that CNN interview at the end of Lost World. And you think that would be he was trying to do that naturalist instead of capitalist, thing that I talked about in Lost World. Something must have happened there where he had to just sell everything. There must have been a crazy public, dismantling of this man. Rightfully so.
Took him out.
Rightfully fucking so. If he got publicly canceled, rightfully so. John Hammond should be canceled.
Well, how many deaths? He caused a lot of deaths.
Because every movie after this is his fault. It's all from him.
Yeah. All because he wanted to play with frog and lizard DNA.
Yeah, so the pterodactyl scene, insane, one of the most iconic moments. Yeah, and
they made a real one. They made a real one of the of 40. So they were mostly CGI, but Stan Winston Studios made a 40-foot wingspan of that freaking flying beast.
Damn, that's awesome. That whole scene, parachutes him. Oh, and we think Billy dies. He's getting pelted.
Oh my god, you're right.
He's getting I really like that scene where you just see the blood in the water, and I thought that was the death scene. I really did. Completely did not realize he lived.
I like that all the characters, and don't forget, guys. So this movie was roberted by Robert Dalva, who edited Jumanji. Okay.
Oh, okay. The Joe Johnson.
I don't know
connection.
Any other movies this guy edited because I didn't write them down. But then the cinematographer Shelley Johnson, who did TMNT 2 from the 90s, Sky High, Expendables 2, but we kept talking about this while we watched it. It's so quick, and I know I keep bringing up the TV movie thing at 1 hour and 30, but even the edit itself, I kept making the joke. You just met this kid 20 minutes, the kid's freaking out about Billy. And I'm like, you met him 20 minutes ago. Billy was on, or not Billy, whatever the kid's name, Eric. Eric was on the island for 8 weeks.
How could we forget? Eric!
We were like, did this kid grow up? How long has that? He was on there for 8 weeks. I can't get over that.
Which is a lot for a kid.
Time.
That's
a long time.
That's 8 weeks when you're 13. That feels like years.
Surrounded by dinosaurs. It's probably at least I'm not in school.
At least I got these beans here. So we get past the pterodactyls. We do have the scene where they're on the boat and the main theme plays. It feels weird because we've already seen all the death and eating. And throughout the movie, the Spinosaurus ate William H. Macy's character Kirby's phone, and they have to find the phone through, as Ian Malcolm would say, that's a one big pile of shit. Funny scene. And they're finding glasses and other people's stuff. That scene's funny to me.
But that whole buildup is they hear the freaking dinosaur because he has the phone in his stomach.
Not because he's, a million feet tall and every stomp causes, water to, you hear the bump, bump. That was the whole thing about the original.
You pointed that out when they hear the phone ringing when they're at the gate of the enclosure.
And the dinosaur's just like...
the camera turns, they all go and do the shot where they all look at the splash image of them all looking at the same time. Then the dinosaur, completely out of the woods, not hidden, is just standing there like, hey, how you doing?
There's also a shot, I believe it's the raptors, or it could be the pterodactyls. Something cool happens, and one of the dinosaurs looks directly at the camera. There's some comedic moments in this movie. I could not remember how they gave the eggs back to the raptors too in that scene, and that was a little tense of a scene. I had no idea how they were getting out of this, and then I remembered, the handmade raptor voice thing that Billy made, so Billy still saved the day at the end. They light the Spinosaurus on fire. That's one of those images I remember as a kid. Just found that, just something like that happens, you're like, oh.
Is that why we like Fallen Kingdom so much? When all the dinosaurs are on fire because of the lot. Dude, when they are crying, never mind. You're talking about that later. This is way too pro. But the raptors' eggs thing was super interesting. That they weren't on the hunt throughout both Jurassic Park and even Lost World. They're hunting. They're always hunting. Everything was always a hunt. But this time, they just wanted their eggs back, and I thought that was a super interesting. We don't focus on that when you think that kind of be big. Once Eric is found, everybody's like, oh, we're going on an adventure now, except for the egg thing, and that egg thing is so prominent, but I feel like it's not talked about enough to be the major plot point.
And it extends
that they
the
have
movie
to get rid of.
Because of the egg too. That's the weirdest thing. Yeah, that whole thing is weird. But yeah, the parents save the day. After the kid watches Barney, Ellie's son, very funny scene there.
Pull the phone out of the shit, and for some reason, Grant's like, let me call Ellie, and then he's begging with the shitty phone to this little kid. He goes, it's the dinosaur, man.
So that all happens. We have our happy ending, I guess. I say I guess, because that final shot, or you see the pterodactyls flying. Now, in the first movie, it's just regular birds, and there's a relief in Alan's face. He's going back to the real world, right? And this one, the theme is playing, but I'm like, isn't that terrifying? If they're going to a new nesting place?
Because they said, where are they going? The one guy, where's he going? And then he's like, to find a new nesting place. Which is exactly how Jurassic World ends, is it not? Where they're like, we live in a Jurassic World now. So they already, for the past 20 years that we didn't have Jurassic World after the two incidents, we have pterodons nest, which once again, they're herbivores. So
we're still not sure what happened with, Site B, which if maybe we do, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but in my half-assed research, Rebirth's got some explaining to do. Let me just double check.
We need a map. That's the problem with these movies. We don't have enough map usage. I watch Pirates of the Caribbean. They point me to where I'm going on a map. I don't know what the difference island in Costa Rica is. Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna are just 50 meters apart from each other. Okay.
Now, before we get into the awards, I do have a section where I just want to talk about Jurassic 4, the movie that never came out. There were initial plans to bring Joe Johnston back to direct Jurassic Park 4. The cast would have included Sam Neill and Ian Malcolm reuniting. And the newest addition of the franchise would have been Keira Knightley, who reportedly auditioned for 2 different roles. One was to be John Hammond's granddaughter, who we saw in the original movie and for a cameo in the second movie, so he would be recast Keira Knightley. The other part, Keira Knightley herself said would have been more major and probably would have been in most of the movie. We don't know much about the actual plan, but a human dinosaur hybrid was apparently in talks as the main scientific plot. The thought was in the story it would be revealed humans actually evolved from dinosaurs. And this goes back to my DB Cooper who was a dinosaur-human hybrid, and that's how he survived the fall from the plane and probably survived the events of Jurassic Park 3.
He's a lizard person!
The film initially was set for a 2005 release. Later on, in script rights, Keira Knightley was apparently written out of the script. I'm going to assume that was probably because of her hectic pirate schedule at the time, with Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3 being shot back-to-back around that time. Up until 2008, Jurassic Park 4 rumors spread, and then it pretty much went quiet into the making of 2015's Jurassic World when it was officially underway.
That's a long gap.
That would have been a weird sequel.
Well, also, I was going to bring something up. Are Ellie's kids in Jurassic World franchise at all?
No, and they would be like 20 years old now. I was thinking about that.
Because I was like, dude, where's Charlie? Can Charlie be in Rebirth?
So, Jurassic Park 4, Joe Johnston directs again, starring Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Keira Knightley. Do you watch that movie? With a human dinosaur storyline.
Well, also, it still would have been after I fell in love with her in Black Pearl. So, like, you know what I mean?
And I guess that's how she got... I guess that's why they recruited her, because of what she was doing in the Pirates movies.
Yeah. Keira Knightley is an interesting choice, though, to play... I can't remember her name from... You said Hammond's
the girl,
right?
the girl we see in the original would have been recast as Keira Knightley. That was one of the roles. I guess the other role had no relation, and she just would have been, part of the cast.
She would have been Scarlett Johansson's character.
Maybe it is from an old script.
I mean, once again, we kind of see this movie. It doesn't feel like a franchise ender, and I know that you and Nate were talking about how it didn't feel like a franchise yet when it started doing two and everything. And it's interesting because it doesn't feel like it was saying, all right, we're done, this is it. It definitely had that essence of, we can keep building upon this, we can continue this, but what are we going to do? And we talk about kind of the lack of plot or story, interesting story, where it's just Terminator 2. It's a rescue mission.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just going back to that again.
It really is. This movie really was, and I think we talked about it when we were watching it. It's just like, this movie really was like, you know why you're here. Like, just watch your effing Jurassic Park movie.
We were at the island. We were at the island within 20 minutes, and that's one of those things where it's like, we know you're watching Jurassic Park 3.
And I respect that in a way, but if you're bringing back Sam Neill and Ellie, I want at least some kind of deeper themes. Like, if you're just gonna do a whatever dinosaur movie, which might be Rebirth because it's brand new characters, then that's fine, but you can't just hint around stuff like that, especially the secret plot point there that Hammond doesn't believe in whatever. Now, Cooper theories aside, maybe that would lead into Jurassic Park 4 with the cloning of humans now and the cloning of dinosaur types, and that would bleed into Fallen Kingdom with the clone storyline there. So there are things of it. I just think at some point they gotta just commit and do the dinosaur-human hybrid. I want to see it. And it would kind of... spoilers for Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus just did it with the human-alien hybrid.
Yes.
So, and it looked frightening. I saw that in a theater. It was terrifying. Like, that, it was just so uncanny. I didn't like it, but it was effective. And if that's how you could make Jurassic Park scary again. Do something incredibly uncanny that freaks people out.
Because they hint at it in Fallen Kingdom that that the girl's a clone.
Yeah.
And then I haven't seen Dominion, but I don't think it's talked about again in Dominion.
She just becomes Chris Pratt's daughter.
What?
Like her and Bryce Dallas Howard adopt her, pretty much.
God, I didn't watch that
movie. Yeah, we'll get to that. But I think it is finally time for the shortest movie. We talked about the movie itself the longest of the
there was too many memes.
Series so far. It was. It's time. It is time for the Ace Awards. Here we go.
All right.
The biggest Dino Diva Award. Which dinosaur is the star of this movie? Who stole the show?
I guess I'm gonna be picking. I'm a Mark, but The Spinosaurus is pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's either the Spinosaurus or the pterodactyls, but I think it's the Spinosaurus. Like,
what were the little ones?
oh,
those guys were awesome.
Yeah,
the lizards.
They were also in Lost World. I think we brought up that they could have been the awards too.
Yeah.
It's got to be the Spinosaurus. Like, so in Lost World we picked the baby T-Rex, but I feel like in this one they wanted to bring up badass again, and they did.
Yeah.
They did do it. The Spinosaurus was really cool.
He is scary. Those shots, yeah, they're edited super quick. It's a blend of CGI shots. The problem is with these old movies too, is that the CGI is so bad that when we notice it's the animatronic, and we're like, oh, that's so good, and then it will be CGI, and we'll be like, and then it will go back to the animatronic.
You had one job award. Which human character messed up the most?
The mom.
It might be the mom.
I don't blame any of the airplane dudes. The
they were hired to be
knockoff. They were just hired. They were manipulated because they were like,
they were promised money.
That means you won't pay us either.
Yeah.
Like the guy owns a paint and plumbing store or whatever the hell. It does not own an enterprise. But the mom, I feel like she's unforgivable.
Yeah.
She incites the incident by sending her kid off with her ex-boyfriend. Yeah. Like, the implication was that it was her ex-boyfriend, right?
Yeah, definitely.
No, I hate her.
The Sweetest Moment Award. Best heartwarming or cute moment amid all the chaos.
I definitely think we said
there's
like
a couple.
4.
I like the Kirby's, kind of rekindling, talking about, Mr. Kirby's weight loss and that. I think that's a cute scene. But the bunker scene with Sam Neill and the kid is also very heartwarming.
Yes, the bunker scene where the kid starts talking to Dr. Grant saying, I read your books. It's like, oh, this is it right here.
And that's a
really
rehash of the first movie. This is the first time you see the little boy in that movie. He says, I read your book, like, to Alan, and he kind of rolls his eyes. But it's character growth, because now Alan realizes, oh, that that means we could like have a bond here. But
did you notice what else he said? He also says, I liked your first book better before you went to the island. Oh, I got goosebumps. I'm like The Rock. Dude, I was like, oh my God, that was so good. Because we talked about this a little bit. 2001 was a different time. Of course, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we have a lot of different perspectives on mental health nowadays, and I feel like they kind of started to play with and lean into the PTSD and trauma of what Grant had on the island.
They should have done more.
They could have, if it were made now, they definitely would have leaned into more.
Of course, 3 is not serious either. That could be an issue too. It's
Alan
like, compared to the others.
It's a PTSD moment, but it's a dinosaur going Alan.
I will say I like how this movie looks better than Lost World. I was really complaining how gray and green Lost World was, which I did find out they did shoot Lost World in, don't quote me too much, but it was in a redwood type forest. That is what they were going for. And this one they went back tropical, and you could tell.
Yes.
It's way more vibrant. Yes. The That Didn't Age Well award. What part of the movie feels awkward, weird, or outdated now? The satellite phone you can always go to.
Well, it was 2001.
I feel like Ellie taking a back seat's a little outdated. I feel like now you would make that character more badass.
Yes, I definitely see what you're saying.
Especially because she's a legacy character.
You Star Wars fans and you legacy characters.
That's what they called it in Dominion in the marketing too.
So that's just what we're doing now. Legacy characters. You mean Neo from The Matrix is a legacy character?
If Johnny Depp ever comes back to Pirates, they're calling his ass a legacy character.
A legacy character. I don't know, man. This one's not it. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
It's probably the phone. Like,
I guess
the internet's invented. Alan should have just looked up these people, the Kirbys. He's an idiot for not doing that.
Looked up their business.
Yeah.
The local yellow pages and white pages. He was like, oh, it's a paint shop. I guess the context, world fixes a lot of things. in regards to the canon of this movie, where
Yeah.
it's kind of up in the air about, was Hammond punished, you know, how protected really was Grant to end up, you know, how protected was the island?
Yeah, this movie gives us like zero info on lore, and I feel like modern franchise movies really likes to at least give us a line or two of what's going on, like outside. Like, you know, MCU movies are famous for doing that.
I'm sad I didn't get a cameo from Ian.
The Smartest Move Award. Who actually made the best decisions for survival? The kid.
Is it Eric?
It's Eric.
I think it's gotta be Eric.
I feel like...
Because, he was there for 8 weeks! None of the movies last that long!
I am very confident in this pick, actually. Yeah, he's...
Can Eric be in Rebirth?
Maybe he's Dr. Loomis. Making a video game award. What scene would make the best video game level? Probably
the birdcage!
Yeah, the birdcage would be awesome. I don't know if a video game's ever done that yet, but they should.
I don't know. It feels like it could be something similar to like Uncharted and getting stalked.
As of this recording, Jurassic World Evolution, the game trailer just dropped. They have bird cages.
I was just gonna say.
Sick. Yeah, I saw they have. Yeah, because I don't think they had bird cages in the other two. Looking forward to that game. I'll probably, if it's on Game Pass, I will definitely check it out.
Check it out.
And shout out to my boy Bill Simmons, as always, the most rewatchable scene award. That one moment you'll rewind again and again. The Spinosaurus cell phone scene.
I was straight up waiting for you to say, that's Cooper.
Well, I was about to say, that's Cooper. Or Alan. That whole sequence, because that all happens in like that set piece.
And once again,
everything on the plane.
It's edited like a TV movie. It's edited so quick that the scene, sometimes you have to replay the scenes. Because dude, when the Velociraptor, when they're talking and they walk away and the Velociraptor runs in the background, it's a classic trope they've done in the other movies. But
Very
in
horror
this movie, it's so cut quick. It's cut so quickly.
Yeah,
that you kind of gotta wait.
When the Spinosaurus is tearing up the plane, you know, we both really liked the concept of that because of how practical it was, but the cutting and the editing was just making me dizzy. Like, just stay on a shot.
And we were doing that thing where we were jumping from semi-CG to practical to then random shot for sporadicness.
And that was the only Spinosaurus scene that bothered me. Everything else with that was badass. Like, I think they did a good job beyond that. Probably because the finale was at night. That helped, and it was raining.
It's beautiful. Keep it dark. And CGI looks good. I don't know. Wow.
This movie is interesting. So, to cap it off, any final? First off, hold on. Before we go into Letterboxd scores, Jurassic World Rebirth, new movie coming out next month. Are you interested? Will you see it? Will you watch it eventually? What are your thoughts?
You know me, I'll probably watch it eventually. I didn't realize they were continuing Jurassic. So when that happened, especially my only scenes I watched in Dominion featured Bryce Dallas Howard, and I really don't want to watch it. I really don't want to watch some of these movies again just to watch Rebirth, so I'm hoping it's a fresh... Alright, look, there are 2 islands. Everything happened in the past. Let's start anew, which I know is what they did in Jurassic World, but still, like, what are we doing? I don't know.
Every episode, somebody's thirsty for a woman in this franchise. I had Nick with Laura Dern in the first episode, then myself with Scarlett Johansson talking about Rebirth last episode, and now we got you with BDH content.
Look, I love the Howard family. I just do. All of them. Ron Howard, he was Opie on the Andy Griffith Show. I always say this. I want movies to be good.
Honestly,
so I hope I enjoy it.
Honestly, 3 movies into this journey, and maybe that will change because now I'm about to hit the world movies. I'm getting excited for Rebirth. Like, this is actually helping. Like, I'm ready to see a dinosaur movie in theaters.
Sorry to bring up Star Wars on your channel, but the other thing that helps with this franchise is, to me, if it is Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, if they just did that again, which it kind of feels like that with these legacy movies, maybe Rebirth will be good. You know, if they just kind of go, Dominion wasn't great, but let's move on.
We're kind of in uncharted territory now because we already did the legacy sequels, so what's next? Like, it is a little exciting when you think about it. Human dinosaur hybrid.
Is it a requel? It's a semi-requel reboot of the franchise.
It takes place in the same universe, but new characters, new plot. Like, I don't know. But to cap it off, going back to 3, what would you give this on Letterboxd?
I think I'll give it 3 stars.
Wow.
I think, an hour and 30? You know, that's the thing. 2 hour and 30-minute long movies, if they suck, you hate it. What a waste of time. Hour and 30-minute movie, it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't terrible. So I'm satisfied.
See, I think my current rankings have changed because I'm giving this 2 stars, and I gave Lost World 2.5. I think Lost World's better than this now that I've revisited them. I think I just like Lost World better by a little bit. Like literally a half star.
My whole thing is I remember Jurassic Park like the back of my hand. That movie is so significant to me, but the rest I'm like,
and they have dinosaurs. And 2 stars doesn't mean it's bad per se. There's a lot of 2-star movies I love, like Superman 4. I gave 2 stars. It's a very rewatchable movie. But yeah, based on this criteria, I just couldn't get it over that hump because it is like flawed, and I was like by like a lot of scenes. But overall, the fun is there, and no doubt about it.
I wasn't bored.
No,
that also helps. The movie wasn't boring.
Yeah. When it comes to these movies, being boring is the biggest crime, and I'll get into that with Dominion in a couple of movies. But wish me luck on my journey. Jurassic World is next. I have not seen it since it released in 2015, so I have no idea what my thoughts will be. I walked out of it liking it, not loving it. Yeah, a moneymaker that movie was. So to now watch it at home with all the hype gone, I wonder how it will be.
Yeah, and then Fallen Kingdom, the best one.
But yes, thank you so much, Mr. Johnny Vaughn Hollywood, for joining me. We're still in June, and not only is it Jurassic June, it's Johnny Vaughn Hollywood June. You are working hard, posting a video every day on your solo channel, and I'm happy to see it. You've covered subjects such as the New York Mets, MLB logos, and Ozzy Osbourne. You never know what you'll get on JVH June. You're like Loot Crate, but a YouTube channel.
I was about to say, I figured you were going to throw me to plug something, and I'm like, well, we plug the same freaking thing. We got such a busy... I don't know. Wait, when's this airing? Is this airing the week? Hell Week?
This might... No, so because we got a lot of movies still to get through in Jurassic Park June, I might post this Friday. This actually might get a Friday release. So, and then Sunday could be Jurassic World, which might we'll see. The World movies might be strict podcast stuff. I don't know if it'll be high quality like this, but maybe it will be. Maybe I'll change my mind.
We'll have to see.
But I wanted to make sure I got through this original trilogy because I know people love it, and I wanted to really get people, into Face the Ace. So I wanted to make sure at least these 3 were at the highest quality I possibly could. We'll see what happens with the rest. But no matter what, we're finishing off with Rebirth. I'm getting more excited. We'll see if this stays. Thank you once again for joining me, John. And I will see you all in the next podcast. Don't have an outro yet.